Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. We are really happy you are here with us today. We have a topic that seems simple on the surface, but actually has some really interesting depth to it. And once you understand the difference today, you are going to start noticing these two words everywhere and using them with complete confidence.
That's right. Today we're talking about shade and shadow. Both words are connected to the idea of darkness caused by something blocking light, but they're not the same word and they're not used in the same situations. A lot of learners use them interchangeably, and that leads to some very unnatural sounding English.
We're going to cover what each word means, how they're different, how to use them in sentences, their use as verbs, common expressions and phrases that use each word, common mistakes, two real conversations, and a quiz at the end. Let's get into it.
Let's start with shade. Shade is an area where direct light, usually sunlight, is blocked by something. Shade is a general, spread out area of reduced light. You can't usually see the exact shape of what's causing the shade. It's just a cooler, darker area created by the blocking of light.
Think about sitting under a tree on a hot day. The tree is blocking the sun, and you're sitting in a cool, shaded area. That cool area under the tree is shade. Or think about the shade on one side of a building. One side of the building faces the sun, and the other side is in shade. That darker, cooler side is shade.
Shade is all about comfort and protection from the sun. It doesn't have a specific shape. It's just an area of reduced light. You sit in the shade. You stand in the shade. You look for shade on a hot day. You park your car in the shade to keep it cool.
Some good examples of shade in sentences. Let's sit in the shade of that tree. She moved her chair into the shade because it was too hot in the sun. The temperature in the shade was much more comfortable than in direct sunlight. We found some shade under the old bridge and stopped to rest. The garden is lovely, but there's not much shade in the afternoon.
Now let's talk about shadow. A shadow is a dark shape that is cast on a surface when an object blocks a source of light. The key difference is that a shadow has a specific shape. It's the dark outline or silhouette of a particular object projected onto a surface.
Think about your own shadow on a sunny day. When you stand outside with the sun behind you, you can see the dark shape of your body projected onto the ground in front of you. That specific dark shape is your shadow. It has your outline. You can see your arms, your head, your legs in the shape of the shadow.
Shadow is about a specific, defined dark shape. It comes from a particular object, and it takes on the shape of that object in some way. A shadow moves when the object moves. A shadow changes shape and length depending on where the light source is.
Some good examples of shadow in sentences. The child was fascinated by her own shadow on the pavement. The tall building cast a long shadow across the street in the late afternoon. He noticed the shadow of a bird passing over the ground. The trees cast long shadows in the early morning light. She watched her shadow stretch and shrink as she walked toward the lamppost.
So let's summarize the core difference clearly before we go further. Shade is a general, shapeless area of reduced light that you go into for protection or comfort. Shadow is a specific, shaped, dark image that an object casts onto a surface. Shade is about relief and protection. Shadow is about the specific, dark outline of a particular thing.
Here's a useful way to think about it. If you're hot and you walk under a tree, you're walking into the shade. But the dark shape the tree makes on the ground is the tree's shadow. Both happened at the same time in the same place, but they are two different things.
Now, let's also talk about how shade and shadow work as verbs, because both words can be used as verbs, and this is something learners often don't know.
To shade as a verb means to block light from something, to provide shade, or to make something darker. The tall trees shaded the garden beautifully. She shaded her eyes with her hand to look into the distance. The artist shaded one side of the drawing to create depth. In that last example, shading in art means adding darker areas to create the illusion of three dimensions.
To shadow, as a verb, means to follow someone closely and secretly, often to watch what they're doing. The detective shadowed the suspect for 3 days. The journalist shadowed the politician throughout the campaign to write a profile piece. New employees sometimes shadow an experienced colleague to learn how things are done. In that last use, to shadow someone at work means to follow them around and observe them as a way of learning.
So, as verbs, the two words have very different meanings. To shade is about light and darkness. To shadow is about following and observing. This is useful to know because both verbs come up frequently in real-life English.
Now let's talk about some common expressions and phrases that use shade and shadow, because knowing these will help you sound much more natural in conversation.
Shade phrases. To put something in the shade means to make something seem much less impressive by comparison. Her performance put all the others in the shade. In the shade means in a cooler, sheltered spot away from direct sun. We had lunch in the shade. A shade means a small amount used informally. Can you move the chair a shade to the left? The room is a shade too dark for reading comfortably. This use of shade to mean a little bit or slightly is very common in British English.
Phrases with shadow. In someone's shadow means to be overshadowed by someone else. She spent her career in her more famous sister's shadow. Not a shadow of a doubt means the slightest doubt at all. There's not a shadow of a doubt she's right for the job. 5 o'clock shadow is the light stubble a man has on his face by late afternoon. To cast a shadow over something means to make it less happy or positive. The bad news cast a shadow over what should have been a joyful occasion. Now let us talk about mistakes, because this is where learners can really sharpen their English.
Mistake number 1. Using shadow when you mean shade. A learner might say, "I sat in the shadow of the tree to cool down." This is not natural. When you are resting in the cool, dark area under a tree, you are in the shade, not the shadow. The correct sentence is, "I sat in the shade of the tree to cool down." Shade is the word for the comfortable, cool area you rest in.
Mistake number 2. Using shade when you mean shadow. A learner might say, "I could see my shade on the pavement." This is wrong. The specific dark shape of your body projected onto the pavement is your shadow. The correct sentence is, "I could see my shadow on the pavement." Shadow on his own shadow. His shadow stretched all the way to the fence. All natural and correct.
Mistake number 4. Not knowing the verb forms. Some learners only know shade and shadow as nouns, but to shade and to shadow both come up regularly in everyday English. He shaded his eyes from the sun. She shadowed the manager for a week to learn the job. Knowing both the noun and verb uses makes your English much richer.
Mistake number 5. Confusing shadow with shade in expressions. Learners sometimes try to mix up the phrases. You cannot say, "She put all the others in the shadow," or "There is not a shade of a doubt." These phrases are fixed. It is "put something in the shade" and "not a shadow of a doubt." Fixed expressions need to be learned as they are. Mistake number 6. Using shade to describe a dark shape on a surface. A learner might say, "The building threw a shade across the road." This is wrong. When an object throws or casts a dark shape onto a surface, that is a shadow. The building cast a shadow across the road. Shade is never used for the specific shaped darkness that an object projects.
6 mistakes and 6 clear corrections. These distinctions will make your English sound much more precise and natural.
Now let us look at 2 short conversations so you can hear shade and shadow working naturally in real situations.
First conversation. 2 friends on a hot day in a park.
It is so hot today. I cannot stand sitting in the sun anymore.
Let's move over there. There's some good shade under those oak trees.
Yes, that looks much better. Look at how long the shadows are today. It is still early in the afternoon, but the shadows are stretching all the way across the path.
That happens when the sun is at a lower angle. Do you see the shadow of that bird up there? It's moving so fast across the ground.
I love watching shadows on a sunny day. You know what I noticed last week? There was a great big shade from the new office building on my street, and it actually made the whole area feel cooler.
Yes, big buildings can create a lot of shade for the surrounding area. Some people love it in summer, but hate it in winter, when you want every bit of sunlight you can get.
Did you notice? Shade was used for the general cool area under the trees and the cool area created by the building. Shadow was used for the specific shapes on the ground, the long shadows across the path, the shadow of the bird, all natural and all correct.
Second conversation. Two colleagues at work.
Have you met the new trainee who started this week?
Yes, briefly. She seems very keen. I heard she is going to shadow you for the first 2 weeks.
That's right. She'll be following me through all my daily tasks. I remember when I joined, I shadowed a senior colleague for a month, and it was the most useful part of my training.
That's a great way to learn. By the way, did you see that the new skyscraper they're building across the road is going to cast a huge shadow over our building in the afternoons?
I know. Apparently, in winter, our side of the office will barely get any natural light. We'll be sitting in shade for most of the day.
Some people won't mind, but I do like a bit of sun through the window. It makes such a difference to how you feel during the day.
That conversation showed shadow used as a verb, meaning to follow and observe, shade as a noun for the general dark area from the new building, and cast a shadow used in the literal sense of a building projecting darkness, all working naturally together.
Quiz time. 5 sentences. For each one, decide if it's correct or incorrect. If incorrect, think about the right version. Take a moment before we give the answer.
Sentence 1. We rested in the shadow of the wall to escape the afternoon heat.
Take a moment. This is not quite natural. When you are resting in a cool, sheltered area away from the sun, you are in the shade, not the shadow. The correct sentence is, we rested in the shade of the wall to escape the afternoon heat. Shade is the word for the comfortable, cool area you rest in.
Sentence 2. I could see the shadow of the lamppost stretching across the pavement.
This is correct. The specific dark shape of the lamppost projected onto the pavement is its shadow. Perfect use.
Sentence 3. The new skyscraper cast a shade over the entire neighborhood.
This is incorrect. When something projects a specific dark area onto a surface, the correct word is shadow. The new skyscraper cast a shadow over the entire neighborhood.
Sentence 4. She shaded her eyes with her hand and looked out toward the horizon.
This is correct. To shade your eyes means to block light from them with your hand. This is a perfectly natural and common expression.
Sentence 5. The young doctor shadowed an experienced surgeon during her first month at the hospital.
This is correct. To shadow someone at work means to follow and observe them as a way of learning. This is a very common use of shadow as a verb in professional contexts.
How did you do? If you got all 5 right, you have really understood the difference. If you got some wrong, go back to the core idea. Shade is the general, comfortable, dark area you are resting in or near. That's shade. Is it the specific, shaped, dark image of a particular object on a surface? That's shadow.
Let's finish with a clear summary of everything we covered today.
Shade as a noun is a general, shapeless area of reduced light that you go into for comfort and protection from the sun. You sit in the shade, you park in the shade, you rest in the shade.
Shadow as a noun is a specific, shaped dark image that an object casts onto a surface. It has the outline of the object that caused it. You see your shadow on the ground. Buildings cast shadows. The shadow of a tree falls across the garden.
Shade as a verb means to block light from something, or to add darker areas in art. She shaded her eyes. The artist shaded the drawing to add depth.
Shadow as a verb means to follow and observe someone closely. The new employee shadowed the manager. The detective shadowed the suspect.
Key expressions to remember. Sit in the shade. Put something in the shade, meaning to outshine it. A shade, meaning a little bit. Cast a shadow over something. Not a shadow of a doubt. 5 o'clock shadow. In someone's shadow, meaning being outshone by them.
And the core test every time. Is it a general, cool, dark area you're resting in or near? That's shade. Is it the specific shaped dark image of a particular object on a surface? That's shadow.
And that's everything for today. We hope this episode gave you real clarity and confidence with shade and shadow. These are words that come up in everyday conversation, in descriptions of weather and nature, in art, in the workplace, and in many common expressions. Knowing the difference makes your English noticeably more precise and natural.
Your practice task. Write 4 sentences. 1 using shade as a noun, 1 using shadow as a noun, 1 using shade as a verb, and 1 using shadow as a verb. That covers all 4 uses we talked about today.
Leave your questions in the comments. We love hearing from you, and we read every single message.
Share this episode with a friend who's learning English. It really helps us reach more learners, and we appreciate every share.
Take good care of yourself. Keep noticing these words in the things you read and watch every day. That noticing is how they become natural.
We'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, and keep going. Every episode you listen to makes you better.